wanna stay ahead of the curve and follow my words. How we doing? Teach, train, innovate, solve, yeah. Teach, train, innovate, solve. If you wanna be ahead of the curve, then follow my words.
Good evening, good evening, good evening, and welcome back to your favorite educational empowerment channel. My name is Tamara Gibson. I'm the CEO of TT Innovative Solutions. And today we are diving straight into progress monitoring, your instructional GPS. And tonight, as always, I love Mondays. I get to share with you what I love about my profession, help you to grow in your understanding of the information that sometimes I seek lots of advice from the educators that I get the pleasure of assisting. A lot of times it comes from what I needed to know that I learned later in my teaching career. So this particular subject is the heartbeat of effective instruction. It tells you where your students are, where they need to go, and how you can get them there without burning yourself out. I talk about a lot about burning out because I have such a compassionate heart, and I'm not an anomaly. There are many of us educators that have a compassionate heart that are looking to assist our students. But sometimes we don't know the most effective ways to do that without wearing ourselves down. So if you've ever felt overwhelmed trying to track data, which I have, or unsure which tools actually matter, tonight you're in the right place. In today's session, I'm really going to try to simplify everything as much as possible without taking away the real meat of progress monitoring. So our quick agenda and my goal for you tonight is that I will express to you why progress monitoring tools matter. Discussion about some tools themselves. A very quick discussion toward the end about choosing the right tools. I'll introduce a lot of tools to you. And then lastly, what does it all really mean? And how do you go forward to the next level regarding progress monitoring? Jumping straight into it, progress monitoring is truly matters because it's just not just compliance task. Sometimes I think people think that things that we do are just something that they're making us do, is something extra, but it really isn't. It's how you build your instructional confidence. It's how you ensure that every student, from your high flyers to your students who are receiving interventions, make meaningful growth. So progress monitoring helps you to identify strengths as well as to detect gaps early. Then you get an opportunity to adjust your instruction before small problems turn into really big ones. It also helps to support your SPED students, your GT, your ELL learners, and it's evidence-based decisions. It's not just I think, but it is definitely your, what I started out by saying, your GPS, your way in which I need to go. And you deserve tools that make that journey a whole lot smoother. And some of the tools that I'm going to talk about today are general ones, and some are going to be specific to subjects that will assist you and help you. And the first one, or shall I say, these tools are going to be, some of them will be general, but as I said before, there'll be specifics. So I'll talk about some specific ones in just a little bit. But I just want to say that there are lots of ways for us to be able to monitor progress. Formal ways, which I'm going to talk to you more so about today, some informal opportunities in which I'll discuss. But basically, I'm doing things like running records. I'm doing mCLASS. progress monitoring, possibly things to help with math fluency, um, exit tickets, checklists, and rubrics. All of those are opportunities in which we get to know our students and get to know what they know and know where to lead them in the next direction. And that's why I spent time really kind of thinking about the title. Because if I'm, in regards to a GPS, if I'm trying to get somewhere, I've got a limited time to get there. I've got to know where I'm going. And it's even quicker if I know the direction to head in. So, what does reading progress monitoring tools give me? They definitely give me phonological awareness. Um, it tracks those students' phonological awareness. I stepped in talking about run records I mentioned a few minutes ago. And if you teach reading at any level, running records are non-negotiable. So when I was in the classroom, they had several different tools that you could use, and running records was one that I leaned heavily on because they captured accuracy, self-correction, error patterns, and fluency. And I talked about a little bit of this last week. I'll be sure to insert the video so that you can go back and listen to that if you happen to not catch it. But these are ways that biweekly supports that you can put in place to monitor your students on their grade level. So my quick tip here really is to keep your form simple. Make sure that you mark miscues the same way that you would every time so that you're avoiding any confusion that you might have when you go back to review it. And it definitely is the consistency. I'm not talking about perfection. As always, I'm going to mention about you studying for your exam. So for my alternative certification teachers and those new and novice educators that are seeking certifications in EC through 6, 391, or 293 exam STR, your running records are all over those competencies. And for those that are in TExES classrooms, especially those who are using Amplify, CKLA, or mCLASS, they're gold standards for early literacy progress monitoring. They're quick, research-based, and they're aligned tightly to STR competencies. You'll see them all throughout the exam as you are preparing and when you get a chance to take them. So mCLASS gives you some foundational skills, things like phonological awareness. The phonics skills are directly linked to CKLA lessons. These are TExES-based items for those of you who might be visiting my channel from another state. But all of it, whatever state it is, these are the principles, the practices in which they monitor or they capture the data so that you are able to help students in things like oral reading fluency and vocabulary and comprehension indicators. So the beauty of mCLASS is immediate, actionable feedback. When a student is struggling with specific skills, like blending with a particular grapheme or phoneme correspondence, you can see it right away and adjust tomorrow's instruction. Not a week later, not a month later, but right there. So again, a reminder for my new educators, don't wait until the assessments window to review your data. Check your reports weekly. Look at the trends from your skill maps. It'll save you a lot of stress later, and it'll strengthen your small group instruction without adding hours to your workload. And yeah, this is exam questions that will be on those exams that I talked to you about. So interpreting data is part of showing your mastery on both of the exams that I've mentioned thus far. So that's a little bit about reading. But there's some universal tools that we use all the time, like exit tickets and checklists and rubrics. They are aligned to TExES. So for my educators who say I'm already certified, that's not something that I have to worry about anymore. I've solidified that part of my future grades. These are some TExES connections that definitely will help you. So Dimension 2 and 3 are heavy on TExES, connecting what assessments and data that you're pulling. And executives really give you a snapshot of your students' learning. They should be 1 or 2 questions, I would say max, and then you should use them in all of your subjects. So this is not something reading specific. That's why I mentioned that it's a universal tool. It also helps you to adjust tomorrow's instruction before the bell rings and they're back in again. And whatever has happened before kind of was a flop. I've had lessons that it was crickets in the room. The students didn't understand. They weren't grasping it. And these are ways in which for us to notice that early so that we're not pounding forward into something that truly they didn't get. And then checklists and rubrics. These aren't just for grades. These are planning tools. I used to love using them. They give a consistency as well, but they help to define what mastery really looks like. And they help students also self-assess. When you give a student a rubric or a checklist, they know exactly what to do. My pro tip here is that you make your rubric short, clear, and of course, aligned to the standards. A 4-point scale really is all that you need. I do have some tools up my sleeve regarding rubrics and understanding. So at the end, I'll invite you to join our mailing list and all of the things. And so some of those are some of the things that I share with that community and that crowd. This tool also gives you language for parent meetings, data discussions, and any ARDS or 504 conversations that you might need. And these, as I said, they're universal tools, so they're not specific to a particular subject. They are specific to your students getting the data that you need in order to course correct or keep plowing forward as you are preparing your lessons, daily lessons. And then we get into CBMs, curriculum-based measurements. They help to do quite a few things, and I'm going to talk about those things that we have on the screen. But really, these are research-based assessments used in RTI and intervention. When I had the pleasure of being an interventionist for a campus, multiple levels, this was my go-to tool. They helped me to track fluency, computation, word recognition, spelling, comprehension. I mean, everything that I was needing in CBMs, and definitely most reliable, time-effective tool that I could have been introduced to measure their academic progress. They can feel intimidating sometimes at first as you get to know how to administer correctly, but once you understand how they work, they become one of the most clearest indicators of whether your instruction is actually making an impact. If you work with students that are SPED or ELL students, it will give you clear evidence of their growth. Not that other students' growth won't be seen, but this is one that is often used in that manner. This tool is also something that you need to know for STR 293 and SPED 186 exam. These CBMs are short, standardized probes that are aligned to grade level skills that you are teaching. They're designed to give frequently used, they're designed to be given frequently. So weekly or bi-weekly so that you can track growth over time. You don't have to guess at your students' progress. They show you real performance right then in real time. I listed on our screen a couple of the skills in which you could be used as you prepare in TExES classrooms that use Amplify or CKLA or traditional TEKE aligned material. CBMs help you to monitor the things that I have labeled before you right now. They're tied to foundational reading skills. They make powerful ways for the growth, as I said before, even for you to be able to follow along with after you get familiar with it. But it was one of the most powerful things that I was able to share with parents when we had parent meetings, because they help to create meaningful goals, and they can show whether the interventions that you're inputting or putting in place, that they actually work. So the fact that it only takes you 1 minute or so to administer it for math, and only a few for reading, and then only a few minutes for math or writing, the data is high quality data. So the beauty of that is saving you time, but also giving you that compass. Where do I go next? What do I need to have in place? How can I help my students the best that I know how? So it can transform your planning, definitely gives clarity, and gives your students confidence as you prepare and use these tools. So as I said to you before in the beginning, how does all of this stuff work? Oh, I jumped the gun here. How does all of this work? And I'll talk to you about that in a little minute, because I'm very excited about the little flash that I gave you of the next slide. So when you are choosing the right tools for your students, you need to ask yourself a couple of questions. And this is something I'm going to talk more about through social media this week. And ask certain questions of your students and ask yourself a few questions. So I'll start with the first couple of questions to ask yourself. What grade level are you teaching? We talk about being grade appropriate. What skills are you wanting to measure? Because some of these tests, they only measure certain things. And you need to know that you're not just giving a frivolous progress, trying to give frivolous progress or monitoring, excuse me, something that you're really not wanting to have the data for. But what will this data help you change, and how much time do you realistically have to do what you need to do? We are now in November. You have a few months to go, and we can be very strategic about the skills that we want to make progress on. You don't need every tool that I mentioned today, but you do need the right tools for your students in your classroom to reach your goal. And that means that you need to know your kids. So in the end, with my discussion about progress monitoring, it shouldn't really be stressful. It should guide your teaching with clarity. When you choose tools that match your students' needs, then you can use them consistently. It becomes easier, your planning improves, your small groups are addressed properly, your confidence grows, and so do your students' confidence. If you are preparing for EC 6 through 391, PPR 160 as well, SCR 293, and SPED 186, you are at the right space, the right channel. We are looking forward to help you. And jumped the gun before, but I'm not jumping the gun now. I'm ready. We are only a few days before the beginning of the holiday rush. We know that school has lots of demands on you, but I want you to have the quiet moment with me, just you and your goals. I've said this quite a few times. You started this year with a goal to be certified somewhere along the lines. The paperwork for that, the books for that, the program online, it got pushed aside. I need you to pull it back out and prepare yourself. So I'm offering a quick webinar right before the holiday to talk to you about 3 reasons that you aren't passing the TExES exam. And not just the 3 reasons, but what do you need to do instead? I have the information on the screen also listed down in the notes for YouTube, and you will be seeing my information all throughout this next couple of days in preparation for this talk. If you need to reach us and want to get on that list, you can see our mailing list at ttinnovate.com or just shoot us an email, and I'll be happy to share with you all of the information that we have thus far. As always, our true goal is to teach, train, innovate, and provide solutions. And today's solution that we explored was progress monitoring. I really want to help you to build your plan before the school noise starts back up in after this week and then in December, because you deserve to win. And I'm here to help you get there. My company is a small company, but mighty in our thoughts. That if we take care of us as educators first, then the next steps will be production, great productions for those around us. So everyone, thank you again for watching. Don't forget to like, subscribe, and share with another educator who needs the support. Now, I'm going to see you next Monday, same time, to help you, as always, want to help you craft a great school year with a career that I absolutely love. It has been and is still my honor, because I'm not too far from the classroom. I always keep make sure that I'm in a classroom somewhere, because it truly is what I love. All right, everyone, have a great evening, and I'll see you again soon.